that are supposed to protect the opportunities for disenfranchising voters and actually even interfering with processes that are supposed to, enhance the democratic rights of individuals. In the event that any of the 9 candidates decides to go to court, of course, the context, the timing, all these things remaining constant, as they say, ceteris paribus, this election might be questioned, not necessarily to agree with ELOG, but as a Kenyan who has been part of the electoral processes for, I think, since many, many years, 2002 etc. There are lessons that we keep learning, but we lose them. And the challenge, therefore, is in implementing those laws. And it is even much more bothersome because every electoral cycle that we have, we see a lot of changes that are being put into the legal infrastructure of our electoral process. For example, if you talk about the campaign financing, IEBC even gave guidelines on the amount of monies that are supposed to be spent in the electoral processes. Why would people want to spend more? I remember the Deputy Chief Justice, Philomena Mwilu, even speaking to IEBC and telling them, in the event that you do not do as is required, and these processes come to us as a court, we will do what is expected of us. And so I am hoping that that there are documentation processes that are going on. I am hoping that the observers in the different missions, the different observer missions on ground are recording, they are taking photos, and that they are able to deduce proper evidence that in the event that any of the candidates decide that my rights were interfered with, and you go to court, that will be able to establish a proper threshold. I do not agree with my good friend Commissioner Andy Ritu that you cannot stop development. Remember that, as we already said earlier on, this is already a very high octane political process. The people of Ol Kalou know what government has promised from their leaders, right from the presidency all the way to their MCAs. If these things have not been done for the last 4 years, etc., or depending on what timelines the promises were made, I do not think that a by-election, therefore, should be the opportunity where you come and you begin to say, now we want to give you LPG gas, we want to buy you shoes that we didn't think you probably deserved because you've always been here, you've been doing your own things. There has to be a threshold that where IEBC begins to stop government also from engaging in electoral process. We have laws, for example, that bar public officers from engaging in political processes. But we have seen principal secretaries, we have seen cabinet secretaries, we have seen high-level government officials engaging in political campaigns and in other places, including speakers of National Assembly and the Senate, high-level government officials, despite the fact that we have laws that safeguard these processes. So the levels of impunity, Fred, that we continue to see, in my view, therefore, strengthen these things and make them look normal. And that I do not think that is going to help us, especially as we move towards the 2027 general election that is also being seen to be very highly contested given the kind of candidates. And so I'm hoping that as we move forward, IEBC will help Kenyans to really learn through what is right and should be done in the right manner, and what is wrong and should be done in the wrong manner, and that even other institutions like Parliament, particularly the National Assembly, will also come to the fore and preside over the passage of critical laws like the Campaign Financing Act, so that it becomes very clear that when IEBC says as a presidential candidate you can only spend up to 4.5 to 5 billion shillings, why would you want to spend 10 billion in a by-election? Fred, I think that these are some concerns that as a people and as a country we need to begin to think through. And finally, the citizens, the voters, I'm very impressed by the turnout that we see there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the results are going to tally at the end of the day. Fact of the matter, Fred, you and I know that Kenyans are largely peaceful when it comes to political processes. The voting, the queuing, we have no problem, and I have to thank those who are allowing those who are going to work, because that is the best way to do it. If somebody says, tafadhali ni ruhusu nipite nipige kura niende kazi, these people know each other. Allow them to go, because even IEBC guidelines allow that, you know, special interest groups like persons with disability, etc. So if the locals there have agreed that if you are going to work and we know that you are going to work, we'll allow you to go and vote. Allow them to go and vote. But ultimately, where the rubber meets the road and our elections become negative, full of violence, is at the point of counting, tallying, and announcing the leaders, so that people now begin to wonder, yani sisi tumerauka asubuhi, we went and voted, now look at the kind of turnout.
Yes.
So IEBC has to also exercise its independence to protect and safeguard all.
And those three processes, the counting, tallying, and declaration of results, will come later this evening, after polling closes at 5 p.m. But Abdi, I want to take you back to something you said, and you talked about what the Kofi Annan Foundation report talked about, and it